At the signing table, she faked a mental breakdown to invalidate a contract she had already signed 6 months ago. "You've won. You've destroyed me," she cried. I was forced to lawyer up and freeze her entire career. Now everyone's asking why she disappeared. They didn't expect me to stay quiet. 3 calls came in from rival firms. Then an email from legal. I was supposed to lose it, break down, yell, cry. I didn't. Instead, I opened a folder labeled Final Review Malden and let the very system I had built, my life's work, ignite. My name is Riley Morgan. I'm 36 years old. For the last 7 years, I ran compliance at Alder Ridge Consulting in Charlotte, North Carolina. Or at least I did until this morning when I watched my work get hijacked in real time. By integrating the new acquisition protocols, came a silky voice from the main glass-walled conference room. We've fully optimized our Q4 pipeline projections. Marla Malden, confident, slick. Her voice pumped through the polycom, slicing right through the call I was having with Langmuir Holdings. I muted my line, watching her from my corner office like a ghost haunting a building I once built. The strategy she was pitching, it was mine. The charts, mine. The data structure that wowed the partners, mine. And right there, faint and subtle on the bottom right of the slide, the watermark I embedded years ago. A pixel-thin compass icon, my silent signature. She didn't even rebuild the slides. Just slapped a new theme over my architecture and hoped no one would notice. They didn't. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't stab you in the back. It sits across from you in meetings and smiles while signing your name on the credit line. Marla hadn't always been like this. 3 years ago, she was a scared junior analyst from a second-tier school with more ambition than sense. I took her under my wing because I saw the sharpness under the fear. I taught her how to decode SEC filings, how to spot manipulation in metadata, how to stabilize frantic clients hemorrhaging millions. And God help me, I trusted her. The theft started small. Meeting invites where my name got forgotten. Policy docs I wrote that were resaved under her login. Little edits. Just enough to claim author credit on the internal logs. Then it snowballed. Her name started appearing on integrations she didn't lead. Work I built word by word at 2 a.m., logged under her name. I'd say something, and she'd do that oops face. I must have used the wrong template. I gave her access to the compliance core. She turned it into a ladder to climb right over me. Leadership loved her. She wasn't the no machine like me. She wasn't the firewall. She was innovation. A voice that said yes to everything I'd said no to, wrapped in my rules. And now she was leaving. Off to Devonshire and Keys, the most ruthless competitor in the Southeast. She didn't tell me. She told everyone else. Loudly. I heard her in the break room near the espresso machine, laughing as she bragged. It's not about the company. Clients follow the person. Langmuir, Hanlo Foods, Foxwell Group. Those were the clients I held together with duct tape and 90-hour workweeks. You're taking nothing? I whispered as I walked past. No one heard me, but my system, it heard everything. It started with a single search. Not in the company's server. That was child's play. Marla thought she had danced through our firewall. What she didn't know was that I had built a shadow vault. Air-gapped. Encrypted. Sitting behind a silent endpoint she'd never heard of. I searched for one phrase. Custodial lock E4C. There it was. A legal clause buried so deep in compliance documentation it had been skimmed over by our own legal team for years. Addendum E, Section 4, Subsection C. It gave only me, the sole authority to release any Tier 1 client portfolios, strategy documents, or associated files. Even if a partner wanted to move them, they needed my digital signature. That clause existed for moments like this. Not because I was paranoid. Because I was prepared. Marla's name was on the last recertification. She'd signed it 6 months ago to secure her Q2 bonus. Greedy and blind. She had no idea what she'd agreed to. I bundled the addendum with her digital signature log. Time-stamped. IP-verified. Proof she had consented to a system that now treated her as a hostile. Subject line. Immediate compliance escalation. Malden departure. I sent it to Troy Belkman, our in-house legal chief. No flair. No explanation. Just the fuse. And then I waited. Tuesday. The day of silent executions in corporate America. Troy was standing near the elevators that morning, arms crossed. He wasn't looking at anyone. But he didn't need to. Everyone was already whispering. Marla's getting poached. She's taking clients. She's a genius. My gaze met Troy's. He didn't nod. He didn't smile. He just slightly lifted his left eyebrow. Protocol engaged. That afternoon, the goodbye huddle happened. Marla looked radiant, dressed like someone who just conquered a Fortune 500. She gave a speech about new opportunities and deep client relationships. Everyone clapped, except me. I didn't need to, because the system was already spinning its gears. At 3:37 p.m., Marla stepped into one of the glass privacy booths for a personal call. I watched from my office, perfectly aligned to her silhouette. She was pacing, smiling, animated. She had no idea that room was synced to our private booking server. I cross-checked the log. Booth 2A. Marla Malden, 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Her phone, a rose gold iPhone not issued by the company, pinged the secure network when it searched for Wi-Fi. Our system caught the MAC address, logged the timestamp, matched it to her calendar reservation. Then, using the system I coded, I mapped that unauthorized device to her physical location during business hours in a company-paid room. Violation of the custodial clause. Confirmed. I pulled her 2023 NDA, the loyalty reaffirmation addendum, and her Q2 bonus recert agreement. I created a folder. Final review Malden. Drag. Drop. Click. I typed the subject line, pre-exit risk protocol recommendation. I sent it to legal, CC'd our risk review chain. At 4:01 p.m., Troy replied, received, activating hold. At 4:05, two IT associates walked over to Marla's desk. They unplugged her laptop, removed her monitors, rolled her entire station onto a dolly. Silent, efficient, surgical. The chatter stopped. People stared. The woman they were toasting an hour ago? Now radioactive. By Wednesday morning, Marla Malden no longer existed inside Alder Ridge Consulting. Her keycard? Deactivated. Her name in the company directory? Removed. Her access to every Tier 1 client portal? Frozen. Scrubbed clean of her digital fingerprint. But this wasn't about deletion. It was containment. The system didn't just lock her out. It sandbagged every asset she touched, quarantined them behind walls only I could open. The message Langmuir Holdings got when they logged in? Custodial release required. They called. Furious. But not at me. They knew Marla. They also knew me. I was the one who stayed up with their CTO during that meltdown 2 years ago when a junior analyst accidentally duplicated 200,000 records across systems. Marla? She wasn't even hired back then. And now she was the reason they couldn't access their own strategy files. I sent them the clause. Quiet. Clean. Addendum E, Section 4. They didn't argue. They shifted their full support to me. At 10:12 a.m., Troy sent me a screenshot. Langmuir, Foxwell, and Hanlo had all signed new multi-year extensions, each with one crucial clause inserted at the client's request. This agreement is contingent upon Riley Morgan remaining sole custodial officer and compliance director for the duration of the contract term. Marla had tried to steal the clients. Instead, they chained themselves to me. Meanwhile, Keystone, Marla's new employer, panicked. Their CEO, Wade Penner, called me himself. Not an assistant. Not legal. Him. Ms. Morgan, he said, tone oozing confidence. We're trying to process Marla Malden's transition files. I'm told you're the gatekeeper. Send over the transfer documentation. She has no files, I said. She has no clients. She has relationships. Relationships governed by custodial trust, I said. Her signature is on the clause. You can ask your legal team. He went quiet, then tried to bark threats. That's tortious interference, he growled. This is heading to court. No, I said calmly. It's heading to the SEC and FINRA with a vendor blacklist recommendation. I hung up. I wasn't playing poker. I was pressing buttons on a machine I'd built myself. That night, Keystone's general counsel sent us a letter dripping with passive-aggressive legalese. Due to unforeseen custodial complications, we are halting all executive asset transfers to mitigate litigation exposure. Translation: we surrender. They dumped Marla like toxic waste. The next morning, she tried to spin it. Posted some fopoetic garbage on LinkedIn about systems meant to protect becoming weapons of betrayal. Within minutes, HR fired her for cause. Within an hour, our firm deleted every mention of her name from every document, using my original metadata timestamps as justification. And then, Keystone paid me, publicly. At my demand, they issued a $500,000 donation to Alder Ridge's Women in Leadership Initiative with the following memo. In recognition of the compliance leadership of Riley Morgan, that memo was posted on Keystone's own investor portal. They kissed the ring. They paid the toll. And Marla? She was erased. She showed up on Tuesday, didn't even make it past the front desk at first. Her badge didn't work, so she had to sit there, awkward and exposed, like a jobless temp trying to re-enter a building she once thought she'd run. My assistant buzzed me. Riley. She's here. Marla Malden. She says she wants to talk to you. Send her up. When she walked into my office, she wasn't the swaggering VP-elect anymore. Her designer heels didn't make that powerful echo. Her hair was flat, her makeup incomplete, like she'd cried it off. This wasn't the woman who'd taken credit for my system. This was the intern I met 3 years ago, the one who had once sobbed in my office after emailing the wrong PL doc to a competitor by accident. Riley, she started, voice hoarse dry. Thank you for seeing me. I didn't say anything. I didn't offer her a seat. She stepped forward. You won, she said quietly. Okay, you got your revenge. Keystone officially pulled the offer this morning. They said I'm a legal risk now. I can't get another meeting. Not one. Your system, it's following me. That flag? It's everywhere. Even firms I've never talked to. They've blacklisted me. She was crying now. Not graceful tears. Messy. Real. I just need you to lift the flag, she begged. Please. One signature. I'll sign whatever you want. Lifetime NDA. Apology. I'll disappear. Just let me work again. Somewhere. I reached into my desk drawer, pulled out a printed copy of Addendum E, highlighted in bright yellow. Section 4, subsection C. Underneath, her signature. Her name. Timestamp. IP address. She stared at it. Her breath hitched. Her body sank. The last flicker of fight dying right there on my floor. What do you want? She whispered. To see me beg? You want money? Tell me what you want. I leaned in. My voice didn't need to rise. I want the system to be respected. As I spoke, a knock came at my door. Troy Belkman stepped in. No eye contact with Marla. He held a crisp manila envelope. Riley, he said, his voice clean and precise. The $500,000 donation from Keystone cleared this morning. Has been deposited into the Women in Leadership Fund. This is the official receipt. He placed it next to the addendum. Marla looked between them. The truth hit like a truck. That money wasn't for her. It was Keystone's fee to make her go away. She wasn't a rising star. She was a liability they paid to lose. And then Helena Sanderson, the founder of Alder Ridge, appeared in the doorway. She looked at me, then at Troy, then at Marla. She saw the addendum, saw the receipt. She nodded once. Cold. Final. Procedure wins, she said. That was it. Verdict delivered. Marla didn't speak again. She turned, broken, and walked out, past every desk. No one looked up. At the security gate, she stopped. She reached for a badge that wasn't there. She stood, humiliated, as the security guard buzzed her through manually. She pushed the door open and vanished. Forever. I sat down. Troy and Helena were already gone. My office was silent, calm, humming like a sealed vault. I turned back to my screen and pulled up the custodial governance dashboard, the system I'd built when I was nothing more than a mid-level compliance officer no one took seriously. In the corner of the map was the last flicker of her presence. Malden Underserm, terminated/frozen I highlighted her tag. Hit the delete key. The confirmation box popped up. Purge user and all associated attributes? Confirm. Her name disappeared. Just like that. A moment later, an all-staff email went out from my office. Subject line, Custodial Governance V2. Effective immediately, it detailed the new system now live company-wide. 2-key authentication, daily audit logs, biometric sign-offs, no workarounds, no overrides, no more stolen legacies. The panic of the past week? Gone. The 15th floor? Quiet. The machine was clean. Perfect. At 10:03 a.m., my desk phone rang. The caller ID, Bohr Holdings. A $42 million account Marla never even knew existed. Riley, said Alan Sharp, their CFO. I'm hearing chaos from Langmuir and Foxwell. Freezing assets? Some rogue exec trying to walk off with client data? The situation is contained, I said calmly. Assets were never at risk. The system worked as intended. I don't care if it worked, he snapped. I care that it had to work. We're adding a clause to our renewal effective immediately. If you leave, it's breach of contract. You are the system. Understood. Understood. At 11:15 a.m., I got an email from Wade Penner, the CEO of Keystone, the man who threatened to sue me 2 days earlier. The tone was different. Ms. Morgan, it appears this was all a miscommunication. We respect your framework and hope we can find a positive path forward. Please advise on availability to discuss mutually beneficial collaboration. Collaboration? He was trying to hire me. Again. The man who cheered Marla's theft was now trying to poach the architect who crushed his entire plan. I didn't respond. Let him wait. The system was still screaming alerts. Frozen portals, flagged files, terminated access logs. I opened the Sloan incident file, renamed internally to Malden Protocol, and entered my master override code. Every red flag turned green. Every ticket closed. Every alert silenced. The war was over. 1 hour later, HR completed the final step. They uploaded her name to the third-party vendor blacklist network. Permanent red flag. Any firm that does background checks, consulting, finance, tech would see it. Do not hire. High liability risk. She wasn't just gone from us. She was gone from the industry. A digital ghost too toxic to touch. Friday, 5:47 p.m. My final move didn't involve any emails, locks, or system wipes. It was architecture. I had spent 2 years working on it quietly, refining it between project deadlines and fire drills. And now, after everything, it was ready. Saturday morning, 10 a.m., I walked into the Alder Ridge boardroom. Not in a suit, not to grovel, not to present. I was there to deliver. I wore dark slacks, a soft gray sweater, no makeup. My hair was tied back. I carried nothing but a single slim binder. Inside, my final blueprint, Custodial Governance Framework V2. 6 printed copies, 10 pages each. I slid them across the table. Helena Sanderson, founder and chair. Troy Belkman, legal. Arthur Linley, my boss, now looking like he hadn't slept in a week. 3 board members, all pale, all quiet. The changes are on page 1, I said. Please follow along. They did. 1. Tier 1 client access now requires non-bypassable audit logs. My office will review them daily. 2. No vendor contract can activate without 2 approvals. Department head and custodial officer. 3. All asset transfers must be verified with my biometric signature. The old override? Deleted. 1 VP. A man who once championed Marla's visionary leadership, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. This is a fortress, he muttered. It is, I replied, because we need one. Then Arthur spoke. Riley, he said, weak. That's for the future. But the reversal? The clients she touched? The documents? I pulled out one last page. Title, Reversal Plan, Executed, the reversal is complete, I said. He blinked. What do you mean complete? The assets were never moved. They were sandboxed the moment her access log triggered. Everything she touched was instantly quarantined. The clients never experienced disruption. But her name, her tags. She authored those slides, Riley? No, I said. She stamped them. I wrote them. And the system verified authorship with original metadata. They stared at me. No one spoke. Then Helena looked at Troy. Mark the board minutes, she said quietly. All attributes removed. At that moment, they finally saw me. Not as compliance. Not as a firewall. But as the architect. Not someone who watched the gates. The person who built the city. On Monday at 8:01 a.m., Keystone Carrorum updated their public investor site. Statement regarding Alder Ridge custodial protocols. It was dry, legal, boring. Buried in paragraph 3 was the only sentence I cared about. We acknowledge the leadership of Riley Morgan in preserving the custodial integrity of all client assets. That sentence was mine. I dictated it, and they posted it. On their site. My name, my terms, their humiliation. At 10 a.m., Wade Penner, the CEO who tried to bully me, called again. Ms. Morgan, he said with the phoniest calm. I wanted to personally thank you for ensuring a smooth resolution. Keystone believes there's opportunity here. 6 months from now, perhaps we revisit the idea of having you consult for us directly. He was trying to buy me. Again, Mr. Big Dog, reduced to a negotiating poodle. If you have proposals, I said, send them to legal. I hung up. Monday, 3:42 p.m. A final email arrived from our risk committee. Subject line, vendor blacklist, confirmation attached was a sterile PDF stamped with official compliance seals. It read, subject, Marla Malden reason, gross negligence in handling custodial assets. Action, permanent placement on third-party vendor blacklist. Visibility, shared across industry-standard compliance networks. It was done. She wasn't just locked out of Alder Ridge. She wasn't just ghosted by Keystone. She was blacklisted globally. Any company in consulting, finance, tech, or adjacent industries would see the red flag. Her name would appear next to a permanent warning. Do not hire. There was no appeal, no undo, no redemption arc. That evening, I reviewed the final post-incident report memo before it went out to the company. It was dry, technical. Event name, Q4 data integrity breach. Contained nowhere did it mention Marla by name. Nowhere did it mention me on the surface. But in the document metadata, under author, R. Morgan, the same metadata that had saved the firm now branded the truth forever. By Tuesday morning, contracts began to flood in. Langmuir Holdings, Hanlo Foods, Foxwell Group, all re-signed. All added the same clause. This agreement is contingent upon Riley Morgan remaining as head of compliance and custodial officer throughout the term of this engagement. I wasn't just protected now. I was essential. Then came the final act of erasure. IT submitted a service ticket. Asset archive, Malden_M laptop, wiped files. Forensically cleared tag, frozen status. Terminated attached was a single photo for documentation. Her company laptop. Alone, in a metal rack. A single red charging light blinked faintly on its side. It wasn't a warning. It wasn't alive. It was just done. And me? I opened my personal dashboard. Biometric scanner lit green. Override code. Entered final status update scrolled across the screen. Override complete. Final review Malden. Closed. I stood up. Office quiet. I didn't say anything. I let the silence speak for me. The war was over. The fortress held. The architect was still standing.